Call the November 4th, 2025 Ways and Means Committee meeting to order. Madam Clerk, may you call the roll?
Chairman Farrell. Mayor Bell.
Here.
Mr. Spencer.
Here.
Ms. Tillerson. Here. Mrs. Schubert. Here.
I note the presence of a quorum, and we have an invited guest, Councilmember Berner. The chairman has unfortunately under the weather, so we will be proceeding in his absence. The first item of business is approval of the minutes, which are attached in tab 1. Are there any edits to the minutes as circulated? I have no edits. They are deemed approved. Citizen comments on agenda items only. I see no citizens here to offer comments. Move on to old business. There are no items of old business. Move on to new business. Finance Director, the item is approval of ordinance 2025-17 to recommend to council changes in our business license.
Yes. So the South Carolina Act 176 requires all municipalities or governments who require business license to update their business license schedule every 2 years. Every 2 years in odd number year. The new schedule is provided as an attachment in Appendix B for the ordinance, and this update is a result of the analysis that I've done by IRS. They do it every couple of years. This is based on 2019, 2021 statistics based on their tax returns. They determine how profitable the businesses are. So based on the latest, meaning 2020, 19-21, which were COVID years, there were some changes in the classes. Based on the next codes, they will fall into the classes.
Which one do you want? Do you want
Yes, so on the schedule that we're going to pull up for you, you will see all the businesses that are affected by that update that are currently hold a business license with the town of Kiowa. So it's about 1,800 businesses that most of them will drop the class. Of that, 85% is pretty much short-term rentals and management companies. With that class change and the current raise, we anticipate about $65,000 less in revenue collected, and this is an estimate just based on the gross receipts that they reported to us last year. So this is not the exact number or exact science. This is just an estimate, thinking that if they report the same, we will see a little drop in revenues. I left a schedule for you. It's a piece of paper that I just left on your desk that compares pretty much license fees for other jurisdictions and how the schedule is organized. You will see that the Kiowa right now is pretty much in the middle of other jurisdiction, like the one that we usually compare ourselves to. So we're not too high or not too low. Okay, so we don't need to put this up. They have it on, yeah, they have it on there. Okay. But anyway, so with all this, with all those changes, like I said, we can estimate a little drop in our revenues. However, even with that drop, and the staff recommends not to change the rates. Leave the rates as they are, and then in 2 years, evaluate if we need to raise the rates. And the reasons for it is my calculations for the drop in the revenues is based on the current year gross receipts, but I am projecting that we're actually gonna collect more in accommodation taxes and business licenses that provide accommodations only because the state accommodation tax that collected last year is about about 65,000 more than for 2023. So another reason is that our rate structure right now is pretty clear. You'll see it goes up every $5 for every class, and it's just easy to understand for all the businesses. And finally, the $65,000, the estimate is very minimal comparing to the 4.9 million that we have collected last year in business license revenues. So with that, I would recommend not to change the rates. We do have to change the NAICS code, the classes for certain NAICS codes as IRS requires. So that's the Appendix B, so approve that and approve the ordinance with the current rates. That's my recommendation.
Thank you. So just to clarify, what was the purpose of reclassifying to a lower rate classification? You know, like for example, real estate and
yeah. So
rental licenses?
the purpose of that was that based on the IRS review of the tax return, those businesses that are in those classes were less profitable than before. So they want to help them out and drop them. As you see on our rate schedule, the rates go up as the classes go up. So they actually, they promote, not proposing, but mandating to move those businesses a class down or move down a class.
But we would have the option. We have to abide by that reclassification, but we would have the option of
to change the rates.
Changing the rate.
Correct.
And your recommendation is not to do so. Has been any analysis? I mean, the reason for changing the classification was, you stated, less profitability. We don't have any evidence that that's necessarily the case here.
It wasn't. Actually, for us, it wasn't. Because our beach was never closed. Yeah. We don't have any offices that generate lease revenue, and this is nationwide data that IRS collects. So in our case, it's actually the COVID year was a much higher year than prior years because people were visiting. So that's, yeah, that's a little different than the IRS rationale, but in general, I feel like supporting that. So if the council or the committee members feel like we want to change the rates, there is few options. One suggestion I had was to change the rates only for the classes that are affected, meaning mostly class 7. Yet, to me, it looks like we would be targeting the businesses that the IRS is proposing that they are actually less profitable. Yes, we want to charge just this, this type of business more. So I would not recommend that option.
The characterization as targeting, we could come to the conclusion that the national data that drove the IRS's decision was not necessarily as relevant here locally.
Correct. That may be better wording than targeting, but yes. So that would be my, least recommendation. But another one is if we change the rates for all of them, all aboard, and if we would change it just a little bit, right now the rates are leave the base rate as it is, but change the incremental change from $1.95 to $2. And that will pretty much, if we do it across the board, that will bring us additional $100,000 in revenues.
What was the I'm sorry, am I allowed to ask a question?
You certainly are.
Or am I the public?
No, you're
Okay.
invited member.
All right, thanks. I understand that you have to do this every
2 years.
2 years, odd year. So I understand the reason why you're going through it, but why even consider changing them? That's, I guess.
The IRS, this is,
We
so,
have to do so.
Well, you don't have to change them, I'm just saying.
We have to change the classification.
we have to change
We have
classification.
to abide by the reclassification. So
Got
we
it. Okay,
are
okay.
compelled to actually enact the changes in the reclassification by the end of the year.
Got it, okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Any other questions? So I would entertain a motion for, to recommend staff's recommendation to council for its consideration.
So moved.
I second that. Discussion. Discussion, I would note that the chairman has some concerns about the staff recommendation. I think his concerns are with regard to the current and potential future reduction in business license revenues if there's not an adjustment in rates, given the lower classification. Certainly, he's not here, unfortunately, to provide kind of his perspectives, thoughts, and offer any amendments. What we have pending is I'm comfortable with moving forward to recommend to council because we do need to take action. We need to pass this. We need to approve on first reading at this council meeting, and then at second in December, prior to the end of the year, approve the classification change on second reading. We could certainly, at second reading, revisit the issue of the actual rates as opposed to the classification if there's a desire of the body to do so.
Yeah, I personally wouldn't want to do something that lowers the revenue number.
Well, that is what is being, the staff's recommendation is to, I mean, we have to change the classification. The classification in of itself would result in an estimated reduction in about $65,000 of revenues. We can't do anything with regard to the classification.
Correct.
We could, but the staff's recommendation now is not to change the rates at this point in time, in part because they estimate that we are likely to actually kind of recoup those rates given trend lines, recoup those revenues. But take your point, and your view may be shared by the chairman, in which case, before we approve or on second reading. Right now, the motion is to approve staff's recommendation, send that to council today, and for the council to approve that on first reading. And on second reading, if there was a view to amend the rates, we could do so at that time.
I guess, am I coming through? So my thoughts on this are, one, in the aggregate, we have a lot of different revenue streams. And I understand the management of revenue and lines of revenue and things like that. The technical merits of what we're doing versus the policy merits, I trust the staff to come up with the technical merits and recommendations on that. As a matter of policy, we've got the luxury of having some very lucrative lines of revenue also. So unless there's other considerations that drive a behavior within the different business license classes, I don't know that we would not go with the staff recommendation. I mean, is there some kind of an outcome with the businesses or the price of goods or something like that being driven by our policy decision that downstream affects the businesses themselves? I don't know, but I think the staff's got a lot of experience working with these licenses, and I'm comfortable with the recommendation.
And I'm comfortable moving forward, but I would note that the classification means that the businesses, these businesses, particularly the short-term rental companies and others, will be paying a lower rate next year than they have paid previously.
True.
So
there's a windfall.
They're benefiting, they've kind of essentially gotten a windfall from, national trends that drove the IRS to make that decision, which will have the effect of potentially, well, certainly lowering revenues relative to the previous rate.
Versus keeping them steady. Yeah, okay.
Well, we may generate just as much revenues because of the growth of of rental,
Likely.
average daily rates or increased occupancy, et cetera. So the impact on our budget is ultimately uncertain. She's estimating $65,000 adverse impact. But I think staff is recommending if we learn something different over the next couple of years to adjust 2 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to tell what the downstream burden is to the rental companies and the owners of the properties renting. There's a lot of expenses in the mix of all of that, so, okay.
And also, just to give the picture, because like I said, 85% of it is rentals. So this is actually the homeowners. And it's not businesses, I mean, they businesses, but they not businesses that come here and make money on the island. Those are homeowners usually, or a second home. But so that was one of the factors that I was considering. And just another one. So on average, they report about 90,000 in nightly the gross receipts, which the median is 55,000. So that change, the drop, it's not like they're going to feel it. It's going to be $30. So this is not that they're going to feel it in a packet. To me, it was more as a message, as a statement that, hence my recommendation.
So what's the message?
The message is that even though they didn't probably see a drop in revenues during the COVID years and after COVID, when everyone was recovering, because Kiowa is unique. However, the national data shows that there was a drop in that kind of business. Mm-hmm. They were less profitable, and that's why they're telling us to drop them to a lower class. And I want to be consistent with that message. But I will also prepare other options, whatever you like for the next for the next reading. So I just want to be transparent and give you all the information you need to make that decision.
Thank you. And like the mayor said, the timeline's critical here.
Well, we have a motion pending. Without any further discussion, I would call a vote on the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We will recommend the staff's recommendation to council. The next item of new business is consider approval of the contract of Capley Co. H3 as architect of record for the design of the Civic and Cultural Center. It had been the hope, if not necessarily expectation, that issues regarding the contract would have been resolved by now. As members may recall, of the council, the mayor was designated to negotiate a contract with Capley Co. We've not gotten to the finish line on that. So at this time, I would entertain a motion to amend the agenda to remove this matter from new business.
So moved.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. There is no pending business. Any citizen comments? Any comments from members of the dais?
My only comment, and I see you're wearing your little sticker too. Today's election day, so anybody that might be listening, please vote. It's an uncontested election, but technically there's no such thing. So
Always important to exercise your franchise.
it was good to see traffic going into the Sandcastle this morning.
With that, our meeting is adjourned. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, that's
the
right.
meeting is not adjourned. I retract my.
Pull them out back. The gavel back.
Okay, so I'll be quick too,
Yeah.
but I do have a first quarter of the financial, the budget report and the balance sheet. So as of September 30th, we had about 49.6 million in our fund balances. And this is an increase of about 1.9 million from the beginning of the fiscal year. Of that amount, about 59% or 29 million is unassigned fund balance, is general fund balance. 11 million is for designated for capital or emergency reserves, and 9.4 million is restricted for tourism-related expenditures. So our revenues are at the end of September were about 4.3 million, and this is about 24% of the total budgeted revenues for this year. They are performing in line with expectation, with the business licenses and building permits much higher than they were last year for the first 3 months, and that is related to the increase in permit fees last year in November. And my department is working, has been an ongoing project on enhancing business license compliance. We're catching a lot of businesses that don't have a license. As far as the expenditures, they stand at 2.4 million. Which is about 16% of the total budgeted for this year, and they pretty much consistent with last year and with the budget. The only notable item is the cost related to the flooding. At that point, that was, I can't even see, but the total was about $250,000, but this is subject to insurance reimbursement, and I just got an email that they were waiting for one more explanation and one more invoice before submitting to insurance. So we should see the money probably sometime this month. Any questions on?
On the insurance reimbursement, remind me what our deductible was, and of the amount of total expenditure, what are we likely to recover from insurance?
Yes, so it's our deductible is 3,000, is very little, and it's about 250,000 in total cost that we incurred. So.
Oh,
yeah,
that was my question too, so good.
yeah.
Well, I have a question, so it's, if you look at the sheet that just went offline, there's the largest variance in revenue is a decrease, I think going by memory, is 600,000 or so for the revenue. And that's what we were just talking about. So this forecast is on the screen. It says a variance of 457,000 for business licenses.
That's actually a positive.
Yeah.
That's a positive. So we've, yeah, and if you're looking at, so there is also one item that contributing to that variance is we have. Sometimes we have those one-time big projects, and they report this is not an ongoing revenue. So one of those projects was the real estate company for, I want to say for the Cape, they closed the license, they finished selling all the items. So the business license is in that number, in this year number. It was like about 200,000 that they reported in revenues, they paid in a license fee.
All right, so that chart then means your forecasted year-to-date.
Yeah. So I don't feel, I mean, it's early in the year, it's only 3 months in a year to say, and the comparison is to the total budget, it's not analyzed budget. So, and with some revenues being seasonal, for example, business licenses, you're going to see the biggest hike in February, March, and April where they due. So that's where we're going to collect majority of our business license revenue.
Yeah, so this is telling me the business licenses are pretty much on track.
Yes, yes. Mhm. Any other questions?
This will come up in our council conversation in other contexts, both with regard to Kiowa Next and some of the recommendations therein. But I would notice again that just in a relatively short period of time, over a quarter, we added another $2 million to our various reserve funds. And now at $50 million, which is just simply extraordinary for almost any municipality, but certainly one of this size. And again, the question is to what end? We're in the process of undertaking the reserve study. When will that?
So the reserve study, I should have something by mid-November, the first draft. So let's look at that and see when we can present it, because I don't know how this is going to look. But hopefully in December or January we have a presentation to the council.
I will reiterate what I mentioned previously, and probably state again this afternoon, is there's a reason that municipalities don't have substantial fund balances, because current taxpayers would expect that, wow, you should be spending those monies on goods and services. And that's not what we've been doing. So my view is we need to be more creative, more proactive in utilizing our balance sheet. If not necessarily just simply depleting our general funds, but strategic investments in those goods and services, infrastructure, amenities, et cetera, that would benefit the community as a whole, while clearly reserving sufficient funds to be able to handle some catastrophic occurrence, for example, a Cat 3 or better hurricane on the island.
Well, and taking that off ramp, and I think we'll have a better opportunity to discuss today at the council meeting when we go through the Kiowa Next, but a land bank idea, for example, to help preserve the aesthetic and the things that Kiowa likes, the wildlife and the foliage and coverage and all that might be one.
Mr. Mayor, if I may just ask a quick question,
Yep.
because I just don't recall. Out of that 50 million reserve, do you know off the top of your head what is, because that's obviously the lump sum, that's the fund balance. What is the percent restricted versus unrestricted versus what was, I don't have my.
It's 30 million, almost 60% is unrestricted.
60% is unrestricted, and out of that 60% unrestricted, how much was for capital project? How much was set aside for, we had previous, the policy was set
that's
aside,
Capital and
emergency.
11 million.
capital emergency was another 11 million.
11 million.
And then another 10 million that's restricted tourism-related
Right, right.
expenditures.
Okay, I was just looking when I'm hearing 50 million, I'm trying to remember how the various buckets that we have.
It's basically 30 unrestricted and 20 restricted. Yeah.
And just to,
And just to clear, but much of that capital is that's not really restricted. That's kind of
it's
self-restricted.
designated, yeah, the council designated with the budget, yeah.
Yeah.
The transfers, yeah. And just want to let you know the financial audit is done and will be presented today at the town council meeting. We're still working on the internal control audit. Finalizing it, we had the draft point, so we're planning to have a presentation for you either in December or January meeting too.
I thought I saw in the packet the controls audit report.
No, that report will be presented either in December. So what happened, they have done, they tested 5 areas, but at the last audit committee meeting, we decided to add, or the committee members suggested to add payroll, because that was one of the areas that they have not tested.
We expanded the scope of the internal controls assessment, and that expanded scope work is not quite complete yet.
Okay.
They were just here last week, so they're working on
All right, that part I
reporting.
wasn't aware of, okay.
Yeah, 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 so.
I'm sorry? Yeah, I know, that's why I was looking at it. I thought it touched on, well, we'll talk about that. I thought it
Well,
touched
they
on
will talk
controls.
about, because the financial audit part of it is some internal control, so you'll see that, you probably saw it in the letters when you read it, but, yeah. So, any questions?
Thank you, and apologies
thank
for
you.
skipping the treasurer's report. Now, citizen comments. There are none. Now, committee members' comments. There are none. Now, we are adjourned. Thank you.
All right. See you in a couple hours.
Pardon?
See you in a couple hours.
Yeah.